I always say I'm not going to do this again, but here I am close to Halloween, getting ready to talk about the Halloween franchise, specifically today, the David Gordon Green Halloween trilogy. With 2 years having passed since Halloween ends, do I feel the same as I initially did? How do I rank each of these films? And does it actually work as a trilogy, or is it a film that completely ends up derailing everything? With that being said, let's talk about it right here in the Cult of Cinema. Here's the thing when it comes to the Halloween franchise, I definitely have my unique takes on it, and I really did when it came to the last film in the series, when it came to Halloween Ends. Because, for me personally,
I don't fit in, and I don't want to fit in. I'm a weirdo.
didn't think twice when it came to buying this here. The easily scratched but amazing steelbook set. Luckily, the steelbooks are kept pretty nice and safe. I do have a Todd McFarlane edition of Halloween 2018, which was sent to me by a viewer, and shout out to them, by the way. The original, the first in the trilogy of films, Halloween 2018, was an overwhelming success. People pretty much loved it across the board. There's thing, the certificate of authenticity. I'll get it out in a second. I love that these have like both the Blu-ray and 4K on here. They're nicely done steelbooks too. I like the quality of these. Halloween 2018 starts off, years later after the original one. It bypasses any other sequel. It pretends like number two didn't happen because we get rid of the thing that John Carpenter hated the most, and that would be Michael and Laurie being brother and sister. It is something he did over some beers. He never really liked it. He never wanted to do it, and he regretted it the second that it came out. Because of that, he did tend to cast aspersions on the film. I will tell you right now, I actually really like the original Halloween 2. I think it's absolutely a fantastic film. I enjoy it. I also agree with John Carpenter on the fact that the brother sister thing didn't add to it. It for me, it really took away from it. Now, some people find that kind of controversial because of the fact that when with 4, 5, and 6, we're really diving in to the aspect of him being like the going into the family. And there's positives and negatives of that. The positives are things like Jamie Lloyd, like some of the stuff that we get to see. The negatives is it takes a killer that really has like that there's mystery behind, that there's a scariness behind, and it gives them a reason, a motivation. And often when you get that, it does tend to take a bit of the mystery, a bit of the aura out of the character. And for me, it definitely did. Though that being said, Michael Myers was always scary to me. The follow-up Halloween 2018, again, I have to say 2018 because they just called it Halloween again rather than anything else, which was an odd choice and something that I wasn't a fan of. Has an amazing score. Let's just get that out of the way. Now, the scores in these films are going to be incredible. Just if you haven't listened to them, you owe it to yourself too, especially around this time of year. And it deals with a Lori that is damaged and hasn't served, like, even though it was just her friends, it wasn't like a hospital massacre or anything like that, it was her friends that died. She never really recovered from that. She's become this kind of survival Linda Hamilton type of character that has damaged her relationship with her daughter, which has hurt her relationship with her granddaughter and her family. That's made it almost impossible for her to have any type of ongoing romantic relationship. And she lives for Michael Myers to come back after, for there to be that one fight where she can finally do what she wants to do, and that is kill Michael Myers once and for all. Here's the thing, though. There's no brother-sister bond. And once Michael does inevitably escape when he's being transferred, uh, he doesn't go back to see Lori. He has no reason to. That she was just a girl that night. She was one of the many that he went after. She got away, but he never kind of focused on that. There was no focus on her for that. He's out and he's ready to kill. And it starts a vicious killing spree throughout Haddonfield. There are some amazing kills, some incredible practical effects done in Halloween 2018, and it is an incredibly well done and extremely suspenseful film. I love it from beginning to end, and it gives us exactly what I wanted with H2O. I really enjoyed the confrontation between Laurie and Michael Moore here. I thought this was a wonderful way to have the final confrontation between Michael and Laurie, the last big confrontation between them. And if it would have ended right here, I think a lot of people would have been extremely happy. But it didn't, because it was extremely popular. And they wanted to leave it open because they had an idea. And that would be for right here, for Halloween Kills. Really, really cool film. I think this is Laurie's house, right? So when I picked this up and I did the initial review, I think I called this Myers' house, I think. And somebody said, "Oh, this is Laurie's house. You're not a real fan. You don't know the house." I'm like, the Myers' house changes like randomly. Like it's a Gothic mansion at one point. So excuse me if I didn't get the house right on the film on the initial unboxing of this. This is what some people would call a filler film. The film in an in-between trilogy that takes the place of filling up time and space until we get to the final act. But it's not that. And I made the mistake, and I think many people made the mistake of taking it as that. See, David Gordon Green realized by the time that he did the second film, Halloween Kills, which we'll talk about in a second, that he was going to go in a very different way, in a very unique style, to give us his trilogy. He knew this was not going to be for everyone. But it was his trilogy. And for the very first time, really let that sink in, we had a director that had a love of the franchise and a focus and a vision to follow it through 3 films. And even Carpenter didn't do that. When Carpenter wanted to do more Halloween films, he had no love of Michael Myers or doing anything that had been done before. David Gordon Green wanted to do something different. He wanted to look at Myers. He wanted to look at Haddonfield. He wanted to look at other aspects of this film. The second film, Halloween Kills, starts off with Myers coming out of a burning home and slaughtering a bunch of firefighters in what is one of the most epic sequences in any Halloween film I've ever seen. It is just gorgeous. There are some wonderful kills in this film, and this movie, Halloween Kills, really lives up to its name. There are some aspects in this film that kind of annoyed me. The evil dies tonight mantra that we hear over and over again. I get why it's there. I understand the meaning behind it. But it does get to become, and rightfully so, a bit annoying and a bit like, oh, do I have to, if I got to hear that one more time, I swear I've got to hear that one more time. Kind of like when you're hearing the Silver Shamrock song in part 3, do I really want to hear that song one more time? And overall, Laurie is sidelined in this film. She is not the focus of the film. We have Allison, her granddaughter, going out and searching for the one that killed her dad. The entire town has started a mob, and which has tragic results because they end up going after the wrong person. Now that being said, we don't know what reason that person was in the asylum. Maybe he's a horrible person, but it is sad. And just the mob mentality aspect of it, and what can happen when a town is gripped with such fear. Really comes through in Halloween Kills. It is a more brutal film. It is a darker film. It has some incredible sequences. The ending of Halloween Kills is absolutely fantastic, and the setup for the third film was there. So let's get to it. Halloween Ends. Here's the thing. When you've done a film, when you've started your trilogy with Laurie and Michael doing the ultimate face-off, and for me at this point, Halloween 2018, the face-off between Laurie and Michael, it's the ultimate face-off. How do you top that? How do you go into that? Do you go out and do you do it again? Or do you follow a more thematic trilogy and do something completely different? Halloween Ends does something completely different. We see very little of Myers at the beginning of the film. There's a amazing flashback that I think is just an absolute highlight, but it's a Corey flashback that I want to focus on. It's a flashback to this character that we haven't seen before. The year after the Myers incident. Myers is gone. He's disappeared. Is he dead? We don't know. But we're meeting this intriguing character played by Ron Campbell that has a lot of allusions to the character of Artie Cunningham in Stephen King's Christine, which of course was directed by John Carpenter and is one of my favorite films. I absolutely adore that film. And it's one of my favorite Stephen King books as well. So I had already going in, like realizing this early on, that this is what it was going to be. There was a bias for me. I knew that there was aspects of this that I was going to like, that I was going to relate to. And the fact that they had the Hardy Boys Ron Campbell in the role didn't hurt because he is so good. I should be frustrated. I should be waiting and wanting to see Michael come on the screen. I should be wondering and asking myself, where's Michael? Like, when's Michael Myers coming into it? But I didn't. I didn't find myself doing that because I was interested in what was going on with the character of Corey. I did get what was going on with Corey and Allison. They were two characters that, in their own way, were damaged and ostracized from a town over something that really was not their fault. As Corey would say later on, though, like, she's a survivor. He's a child killer. It's a massive difference. We are not the same. But it's the similarities that's drawn them together in the first place. It's an interesting film. When Michael Myers does come into it, it's a more battered, beaten Michael Myers. He doesn't have the strength that he had before. He's still there. There's still a presence, but something's missing. And one of the things that plays in early is they talk throughout the entire trilogy that Myers is just wanting to get home. And you're never really sure if he wants to get home for some mystical reason, that he just wants to go back to where it all started, or that Michael is old and he wants to rest. And he'll do that. His bloodthirst, it'll be quenched. But eventually he wants to get home and he wants to rest. And Halloween Ends. In between Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, The town don't want Michael to come back. They know he's going to go towards the home. And it's something that I wish would have been put on screen that wasn't. His home is burnt down. There's a lot of ways to take this. He has nowhere left to go at this point. He can't go home. If you believe that there's some mystical, like magical side to it, which a supernatural side, which I don't, but if you do, then his totem has been burnt. It exists no more. There's no power to get from that. Above all, I think we've seen Michael do some amazingly brutal kills throughout this film, especially for a guy that's supposedly in his 60s at this point. But all of that, especially if you take into the fact that David Gordon Green goes out of his way to say he's not supernatural. This is not a supernatural film. This is a film that has taken the Halloween and Michael Myers and Laurie and the town of Haddonfield, talking about how evil affects. It looks at evil and how evil affects the things around it, not just like the creepiness but how it affects everybody, how it affects the town, how it affects the people that are affected by it, how that kind of spreads outward, and that intrigued me. So when later on Michael, comes back to do some really interesting killings, but in the majority of the really good kills here are done by Corey, and Michael is not at his top when we see him. There's a portion in this film that is very controversial, where Corey, who's gotten beaten up by band geeks before, goes in and attacks Michael and takes his mask away. A lot of people are upset about that. I was upset when I first saw that. But Michael Myers isn't the Myers that we've seen even in Halloween Kills. Years have passed. He's older. He has nowhere to go, and in Corey he seemingly sees sort of a kindred spirit. He thinks he does. And Corey coming and taking the mask form is either a source of humiliation for Myers, or maybe a source of pride. Now, no good deed will go unpunished. This is Michael Myers after all, and at the end of the day, he will have his vengeance. But the Corey story is what got me in this film. I really enjoyed it, and I think it was overall, when we get back to Michael, I didn't expect to see that epic showdown that we got in 2018. We'd been there. We'd done that. For me, Halloween Ends was a satisfying conclusion to the trilogy. It really was. But that being said, it's a film that earns its divisiveness. If you went in rightfully expecting after Halloween Kills, because things are set up to make it seem like you're going to get a specific type of film, and when you don't get that film, they're like being completely peeved with it and not liking it is completely understanding. I can understand it. I understand it completely. I understand the frustration of not getting the film that you thought you were going to get. For me, I kind of knew going in. I knew by the time that the credits, like at the beginning credits came up and the Halloween 3 fountain was there, that it was going to be the same thing. Why? Well, because we'd seen it. It had been done. It was in Halloween 2018. How do I rank these films? Halloween Kills in third place. In second place, it's going to be Halloween Ends. I really enjoyed Halloween Ends. I did something different. And Halloween 2018, for me, out of all of them, still works the best. Works the best as a sequel, and it works the best on its own. Halloween Ends may be my personal story favorite, but I think construction-wise, delivering on the goods, just making overall really satisfying film for an entire audience, Halloween 2018 is the king of that. That's my thoughts. Who knows? Maybe we'll review this again next year or the year after, and I'll have other ideas. But for now, I am Aaron. This is the Call to Cinema. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. Let me know your ranking of all three of these David Gordon Green films down in the bottom. Remember, be respectful. Everybody has their own opinion, and mine is a very unpopular one. But that's okay. I'll see you soon. Happy spooky season. If you want to join the Patreon or membership, go ahead and do that. But above all, have a wonderful day, and what are you at?
Oh God. Subscription sloth here. Just want to remind you that I know in the summertime especially it can be super warm and lazy. But if you're liking this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to go that step farther and join the Patreon, there's a link for that down below. You can super sticker, super chat, or donate. But above all, just lie back and enjoy the video, because that's what I'm going to do.
But I've got something to tell you.
In the month of November, we will be doing a bit of a challenge. Throughout this month of October, we're doing this horror movie after horror movie after horror movie. So the first 2 weeks of November, I'm going to try and watch absolutely 0 horror movies and do a bit of a cleanse. So can you do that? Can you join me in a horror movie cleanse for the first 2 weeks of November? See you soon.